Hello, 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 folks. Welcome to season 5 of our On the Call series produced by the Stars Among Us. This is Ozzy, and I'm very happy that you tuned into this thank you tour of mine, as each episode is a thank you card, as you know, to those who have impacted my life. And on this 9th episode of season 5, I'm shining light on Marcinho Savant. Hello, Marcinho.
Hello, Ozzy. It's so good to hear your voice again. I miss you.
I miss you too. So, just so my audience know who you are, Marcinho is a classically trained singer, vocal coach, conductor, a professional singer, stage and performer, and critic, as well as a producer for theater, television, and film. Originally from New Jersey, he has been residing in Louisiana. And he has studied, lived, and performed in Austria, Belgium, the Netherlands, Pacific Northwest, the New York Metro, Delaware, Florida, and more. He's trained as an opera singer and recitalist and has studied at the Mozarteum, Salzburg, the Academie Royale de Musique in Brussels, and Westminster Choir College in Princeton, New Jersey. He has studied German art history, I should say, right?
Both.
And voice at Salzburg College and the Salzburger Musicschulwerke. Pronounce that.
Musicschulwerke.
Right, through the University of Miami School of Music. He holds diplomas in das Deutsche Lied, Verzsagen und Begleiter. How was that?
That was pretty good. Das Deutsche Lied für Sänger und Begleiter.
From the Akademie
Mozarteum.
I wanted to see it again, She's in there. He's also a respected interpreter coach for singers. He has taught and performed in shows such as Aint Misbehavin, Five Guys Named Mo, Flamingo Follies, and others, and served as vocal coach and conductor of A Chorus Line, has directed Godspell, West Side Story, to name a few, and has been a recitalist, concert artist, cabaret singer, voice teacher, repertoire coach, and music festival artistic director.
Who's that guy? I don't know who you're talking about.
Man.
He sounds really interesting.
Yes. They call him a polymath.
I've heard that before.
He's also was the founding artistic director of the Key West International Jazz Festival and founded the Iron Violet production company. During all of this, he has become a novelist, playwright, poet, lyricist. I'm exhausted.
I'm sorry.
And a published author. We'll talk about that. So he's also a blogger and speaks languages such as German, Spanish, French, Italian, Brazilian, Portuguese, Yiddish, and Creole. One of the things that he's into is Coalition for Human Rights. And you're going to want to talk about that stuff, what he does for others. So, in a nutshell, we've used up half the time on who Marcinho is. So let me ask you something. In the very beginning of all of this, how did you come into doing what you love doing, your career of singing? Who was the mentor? Who was the person who,
My mother in the 70s was a very stylish Black woman who was pretty well renowned in the city for a while. She performed opera. She did a lot in the jazz club. She was a critic for the Amsterdam News and for Newsweek, but she was a published critic for multiple major periodicals. And we lived in James Brown's old house in Adderley Park in Queens. And it was a really large house. It didn't look like much from the street, but when you go inside, it's cavernous, huge, spacious, very high ceilings. I would listen to her rehearsing Carmen or any number of operas that she was rehearsing at the time. And it was heaven, and it stirred my spirit. So she was the first who really implanted the seed.
And who came after?
Oh, well, once I was oriented into the magic of what a voice can do, I started paying a lot of attention to Grace Bumbry and Kathleen Battle and Leontine Price and Jessie Norman and just all of the Black divas that I could get my hands on. And Joan Sutherland, my mother had a ridiculous bunch of recordings. And some of those were on reel to reel. That's how long ago we're talking. But yeah, I had a great background of listening as I was growing up.
How did you get to Austria and Belgium and that part of your life? How did you move to Europe?
Yeah, that's easy. I was listening to my mom at about the age of 7 onward. I had my first role at the age of 9 in a student production of The Wizard of Oz, and they gave me the part of the Cowardly Lion. And you know, Diva, you know how we do. Give me notes, I'm going to sing the notes. So that was my first taste of an audience. And the theater bug bit me, and it bit me hard, and it was ferocious. And I'm still addicted, although my life has changed. After I did that, I was hooked. I started doing high school. Well, I tried to do high school shows, but I couldn't get cast because I was too fat or too black, according to the English teacher/director. My town wasn't ready for that. So I started doing community theater just to get roles under my belt. And by the age of 22, to have earned the role of Beetle Bamford in Sweeney, which I was super proud of because it's
Sweeney Todd,
it's a very, very demanding vocal. If you're 22, you're not supposed to really have that sort of solfiato and such phrasing and power in the rafter notes. It's for a much more mature, stronger, better trained voice than mine. But I pulled it off, so I was really grateful. That happened after I returned from Salzburg. So I went into school and I was doing my performances. And luckily, I was able to audition for a program, the one you mentioned, through the University of Miami School of Music, that went to Salzburg in an adult program. It was summer programs, and I think 4,000 people auditioned and 17 were accepted worldwide. That was after my first semester at Westminster Choir College, which I failed music theory spectacularly. I said, well, here's this poster on the wall, and I love Salzburg. My people are from Austria. And I said, I want to go there. So I went and recorded an audition tape in Williamson Hall at Westminster, and my friend played for it, and we sent it in, and I was accepted. That June, I was on my way to Salzburg by way of Vienna. We stopped in Vienna for a week. Then we got to Salzburg and we started taking all of our master classes with a who's who of voice worldwide, like everyone, but heavy German experts. And I completed that first program. I was offered a full ride to University of Miami, the host of the program, which I idiotically turned down because I said, it's too hard. Stupid. And then I got invited to the next session and I was back there. I went back 3 times. And after I finished those, I came back to the US. I got the role in Sweeney and I continued to audition and do my things, my own personal missions, like my writing and things like that. I conducted a chorus line during that period for a company in New Jersey. I always kept my feet wet because, like I said, I'm addicted.
Which one of your stage productions for television won the Cable Ace Award?
That was an amazing... That was called African American Women Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. And it was based on the concept of a community television talk show host. And she decided she wanted to be the exec producer. And I came into town, or back to town, and I saw this woman and she had a pretty okay show. And one of my friends at the time was a singer who happened to be the daughter of a famous jazz horn player. And she was a guest on this show. And I went along, Mr. Theater, I went along to do her hair and makeup because it's TV. And she had just gotten out of the pool and she's like, please come and help me. I'm like, okay. So I went and helped her and got her ready for camera. And the host sort of demanded that I did her because she no longer loved the person that does her. So I started as a co-producer on this little tiny public access show that was well watched. And she had this concept for the show. So she says, I know you direct, I want you to direct. So I was like, okay, well, sure. It turned out that I was the director of the stage production. And Phil Bertelsen, he's just a magical TV guy. He's a great director, a technical director, a camera, he's that guy. And he was in the truck and we did the shoot in some auditorium. We had multiple actors from the community that really stepped up and got into these amazing costumes. It was really a community-based program. We were making the costumes. We rented quite a few of the period costumes, but the company, the cast, were really all about it. And it featured women like Queen Nzinga and Queen Tai, Mary McLeod Bethune, Madam C.J. Walker. Gosh, so many. There were maybe 14 women in the show, in the play. We loved it. The audiences loved it. Even the kids that came on stage to participate in the finale loved it. We thought we did some decent work. And the next thing we know, she gets a letter in the mail from the prize committee that we won for that show. And if memory served, I think I got a Best Director award, but it definitely won. That was just one of the many stages of my path.
I'm telling you, because I also know that you've been doing some event planning as well, but very specific audience for clients. Tell us about that.
Well, sure. I got to rewind to go forward. I worked as a counselor at a summer camp for underprivileged inner city system kids. And being the polymath I was turning into, I had already been cooking for ages. You know, I'm a private chef as well, or was. And so I used to, on my breaks and days off, I used to beg Chef Thomas to let me into the camp's kitchen so I could learn. And I ended up cooking there. I ended up, over the years of working there, I became the theater and dance instructor teaching these kids. I did focused meditation where these street tough, challenging children, they'd sit with me for 30 minutes and they would melt away into whatever destination I guided them into, whether it was Disney or if they were a tree and how did the roots feel, or if they were a flower, did you feel dew on your petals? Was there a breeze? I mean, focused meditation with these kids, and they were fighting when they came into the cabin, but they were chill when they left.
That must have made your heart very happy.
It did, because this is where I learned that God blessed me with the gift of care. It enables me to care deeply about people and their outcomes, because tomorrow isn't promised and none of us are perfect. But if I can do His work as best as I'm able, then I feel like I've earned a spot on this great big rock we call home. But once I really learned fundamentals of cooking, that was sort of like my first commis chef experience, you know, a chef trainee. And so I carried everything I learned there. By the time I got to Key West for the Florida show, that ran for 3.5 seasons. There was a bridal couple of women that wanted to marry and were denied. And I'm sure you've heard this story because you're local to it. They were denied the opportunity to buy a wedding dress. It was on What Would You Do with John Quiñones. And it was a story that they repeat many, many, many times. And I was so offended that people couldn't just have a day. God made us all and He makes no mistakes. And if He created two people that were lucky enough to find each other's heartbeats, that can't be a mistake because the Creator doesn't make mistakes. And I felt like it was wrong that these two people could not have the very same wedding as anybody else wanted. It's really strange, Ozzy. These people had to go to vendors. Okay, an average larger wedding can involve 10 or more vendors. I've had as many as 30 vendors on one of my larger weddings. And these couples would have to actually sort of come out to each and every one of those vendors just to try to assemble their own weddings. And sitting in my house, I saw this story on somebody's news station. I'm pretty sure it was NBC. And I said, that sucks. And I reached out and I contacted the couple. I had a small event company at the time. And I said, you know what? I'd like to help you because I don't think it's fair that you can't just have your day. And I've got 2,500 vendors in my system and I will speak for you. And you don't have to come out 25 times to every single person because you want their cake or you want their tablecloth. I will be your representative. And I saw an opportunity as a serial entrepreneur that was not being filled. And I had the heart and empathy to think somebody needs to help these couples. And long or shorter, I have done a large number of weddings and some very large weddings. I've had weddings as large as 500. I've done beach weddings. I've done South Asian weddings with a pandit, both straight and LGBTQ. I love love and I love being a part of someone's forever memories. So I saw a niche that was being ignored, and I filled it. And my couples were exceedingly happy.
I am sure. God bless you. God bless you for stepping up and taking action, you know. It's a lot of times people see and they wonder what they can do, and then that's it, they move on. You know, it's like, okay, scroll down kind of thing. So
it was one of my first companies, and I hated to sell it, but we weren't needed anymore because marriage equality became the law of the land.
But now you know the situation that's happening here, so we'll see, man.
I've been known to do a curtain call or two before, so.
What project have you done that holds a special place in your heart, let's say?
Then I have to put you on the spot, my love, and tell you that Finding the Sweet Spot, which was your very personal depiction of the actuality and the struggles of your real life as a writer, as a screenwriter, as a playwright, I find it agonizing to convert my truth into a profitable entertainment. It is a huge task and a very huge challenge. But I fell in love with you, and I fell in love with your film, and I was honored to be asked to work on it. And I think maybe I kind of pushed myself through the door because I believed in you so much. I'll executive produce, I'll do So that is at the top of my list. Oh gosh, it's like asking me which of my kids is the smart one. Oh gosh, I worked, that African American Women Project was a big one. This was a big one. Well, I've been working with some amazing production partners for some projects for television and film, and that has really occupied the last 10 years of my life working on those. One is a Broadway musical. It's a period musical. It's quirky and it's an entertainment. It is everything a Broadway musical needs to be. Been working on some sitcoms. I got booked to write a sitcom, and I sent them the pilot, and I think I sent them 7 episodes, and they're in love. But then COVID, so that remains to be seen. I've just written a new play called Peridot, like the stone, like the gem. And when I write, things just really, I know it sounds hokey and crunchy granola, but I wrote a play called Crosses to Bear, which I wrote for myself. It was a series of 15 monologues of males and females. One was Jewish, one was Irish, one was old Southern Black woman, one was Latino, one was Native American, one was a neo-Nazi radical skinhead, one was an old Jewish mother who was dealing with HIV in her child. It was very, very diverse, and it was all about the crosses that we all have to bear. That one was very special to me. And in that vein, Peridot came to me just like crosses came to me. When I was writing the old Jewish woman, I put a shawl on. When I was writing the lesbian, I put on a denim jacket. When I was writing the Native American, each character, I just put something that I could identify with them on my body, and I typed. They spoke through me and to me. And with Peridot, it's a story of a trans woman who is from Africa and ended up being a tremendously successful military commander and retired and decided to honor her essence. She gets trapped with the very worst person she could get trapped with. And through a series of red herrings and twists and turns and plot twists and things, devices of the theater. Well, I can't tell you if it's a happy or a sad ending because that's no fun. People have to come and see it. But those are the key pieces that have really stolen my heart.
With all that you accomplished and still working on, what would be the name of your autobiography?
Wow. Okay, give me 10 seconds. What would be the title of my autobiography?
Yes.
Wow. Damn. This guy did a lot. I think that would be fitting. I'm still only halfway through my life, so.
Exactly. It's like there is so much that you have done and are doing, and that zest to do is just an amazing thing, you know, Marcinho, because a lot of people lay back. A lot of people lay back. A lot of people who have it all lay back, you know? So.
Well, I don't know how anybody can have it all if they're not putting it all on the line. Not every note I've sung, not every note I've written, not every play I've written, not every script I've written has been a home run. But as I think it was Henry Ford said, if you think you have failed, then you absolutely have. And so I keep plugging away at it.
question for you. What would you like to hear people say about you in the end?
Well, I can only quote fact. I've been called eccentric. I've been called loving, moody, sarcastic, crass when needed. I'm ferocious. I fight for what's right for myself and others because it's the right thing to do. They will call me talented, maybe. Greater minds get to make that determination, but they would call me creative, loyal, faithful, diligent. Yeah, and some people call me a whiner and a troublemaker because I speak up when things are wrong. But if you're going to love me, you got to love me warts and all.
So in these past 2 years, what has been the upside for you? Because there's been a lot of down.
There's really been a lot of down, but the upside has been creating Peridot under some really horrific circumstances personally. My muse died. I told my production partners they were trying to push me to get this sitcom out, and I did push it, and I gave birth to it. It was an effort. Because usually things come to me so quickly. I've written whole plays in a night and then go back and edit and blah, blah, blah. But I can have the skeleton with meat on the bones of an entire play in a day. So the highs of the past 2 years, giving birth to Peridot and giving birth to the sitcom, my production partners turned it over to me, but my muse truly from 2010 when I moved to Louisiana to support my grandmother's aging years, I lost everything. I lost my contacts in the business. I was no longer in the circles. I wasn't in the rooms. I was in West Hill, Louisiana, taking care of my Mima because that's what you're supposed to do. But the struggles here, the racism, the problems, the challenges, there are no problems. There are only challenges. So it's been a lot. And then COVID came and put the kibosh on our musical that we had labored so lovingly for. And by the end of that, my muse was tired. She was fed up. And I even told my production partners when COVID came, I'm tired of outputting these works and these lyrics for these songs, for these shows, and doing this and doing that, doing the other, for them to end up all of a sudden, thank you, COVID, sitting and collecting dust. And I was like, I don't know if I can be a part of this team right now. I don't think I can. It's too much. But I pulled through it. I pushed out the sitcom pilot and about 7 episodes, maybe 9 for a season. I didn't want to give them everything. But yeah, working on my projects, the things that make me whole and keep me sane and keep me focused and keep me in love with the love of being a creator.
Amen. And to that, I want to say I needed to have you on my podcast because you have impacted my life. We were tied at the hip at one point, and you were so instrumental in helping me focus in on my story. You really worked day and night on it to help shape it. And the way that you were able to communicate, you're such a loving, caring, thoughtful, giving, talented person that I am extremely grateful that you're a part of my life. I know we've not touched base as often as we had because, again, life and family and issues and things that I've been going through as well for many years. But it's always a lovely thing, like a brother, and call you up at any point or reach out to you at any point, and you're there with that wonderful voice and heart and soul. It's just like being back together again. And I really, really, really had to thank you in this manner for what you've done for me. For my audience, I want to say thank you for spending your time with us today. This is Marcinho Savant. Please care to share. Remember, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny side of the street safely. Be health conscious. The numbers are going up out there. Be kind to one another. And don't forget to give thanks for the little and big gifts, especially the little ones. Marcinho.
Amen. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so very, very, very much for allowing me to extend to you my hand in this way. I really appreciate it.
Grant me one opportunity to say one thing in closing. Ozzy, meeting you has been a tremendous part of my growth as a producer and contributor, and I am enhanced having met and begun to learn you.
Oh gosh, thank you. Thank you, Marcinho. Thank you.
It's my privilege.
Again soon. I love you very much.
I love you back.
Oh, yes, I receive it.
Yay. We'll be working together soon, I can feel.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Talk soon. Be well. Stay safe.
You as well. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey there. Please help us in our mission to support those facing fatal diseases through our t-shirt sales by donating or shopping at aussiestewart.com or supporting us at anchor.fm/AussieStewart. That's ANCHOR.FM/AussieStewart. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel at Aussie Stewart. Yep. Leave a comment.